right now we're gonna explain another concept, which is creating a stem plot. Okay, professionally name, the professional name is called discrete, okay, sequence data. Okay, but the unprofessional names that I'm gonna give it, it's just the lollipop graph. This is funny, but why it's lollipop? Because it does looks like it. Okay, and discrete sequence because stem plot is just like very important for different aspects and different usages, whether in statics, calculus, anything with number, stem will be like very great tool to use, even in like plotting 3D, and we're gonna explain this as we go further. Okay, so let's start. Let's see what we can do here. So let's create figure one, and I think f should be small. All the mistakes come from very tiny like small instead of capital. All this stuff can make an error, and like this error might spend long time until you actually like discover where is the error came from. Okay, so line space from 0 to pi. 2 pi, by the way, it's just like 6.28 and then 50. Okay, we want to do one more thing, comma. Okay, what this means? So I know that you guys now are familiar starting from 0 to 2 pi and has 50 evenly spaced vector. Okay, you guys want to say, oh, we already know this, but what this comma mean? It was in the very first episode I did explain this. This is transpose. Transpose, quick recap, it's just like switching the rows with column. So right now if I press run, okay, apparently there is nothing like here, but like let's clear everything in the workspace and let's press run again. So right now I do have it won't appear here, but the x now is column vector. Like instead of row, you're gonna give me like from 0 to 50 rows, but this as a column vector, so I can combine it for the y with y-axis, especially with the stem plot. So as I said, transpose or this comma, it just turn everything from rows to column and from columns to row. But right now, because I'm from x-axis, so I'm gonna turn it from rows to column. So right now x, another comment here, x is a column vector, and this is very important as we are going forward because we're gonna combine it with y-axis. Okay, so let's create y equal, let's open bracket cosine x comma 0.5 multiplied by sine x. This is very interesting, right? Okay, so what's going on? Very basic stuff, but this also was in episode 1. Those brackets, this is a matrix, correct? Okay, so this comma, now like cosine x, first column, 0.5 multiplied by sine x is another column. We were saying in the first episode that the comma is creating a new column, but semicolon is creating a new row. This like the semicolon, this, but if it was between the brackets. But now just comma. So now I do expect 2 rows, or y gives me 2 rows. X, now I can say cosine x in a matrix because I change it with the transpose to column vector. So right now when I'm treated as a y-axis, now it can combine together because this is column vector. But it's gonna be messed up if without the transpose. Okay, so I'm telling MATLAB now, create a matrix with 2 columns, which is matrix y with 2 columns. Okay, So column 1 it just is just the cosine x full amplitude cosine, while column column 2 it just have half amplitude sine. So MATLAB will treat each one as a single vector. So right now, when we actually creating the stem plot, we're gonna have two shapes, or like as I said, MATLAB will treat each one of them as a single vector. So we're gonna have two like shapes, and we're gonna see this. Okay. Now, so here is the deal. We wanna create a stem plot function. This is a stem. I don't think like there is no surprise by now. Okay, let's see what we can get now. Okay, as I said, MATLAB gonna treat each one of them as a different single vector. Okay, and he gives like differentiate between both with different colors. And as I said, now like it's between 0 and 50 with x-axis, and this because like it's from here it was like 50 points. But what if I remove the transpose and I press run? Let's see what will happen. Totally different thing. Totally different thing. Okay, so now like x-axis basically right now it's row vector because I didn't put the transpose. So when it gets combined with the y-axis, it got messed up, and there is something like missing here. And even MATLAB like he doesn't give an error, but he does give an error in the actual figure. That's why like transpose or switching between row vector and column vector will go a long way. Okay, so far so good. Okay, let's make it like more interesting. So let's edit some stuff. Okay, so right now I just maybe like let's try like field. I think you guys already know what's field mean, or you guys can expect. Here we go. Like it's just gonna like make the marker different. Okay, and as I said, over here we do have what circle, CEO, which is marker symbol, right? So now I can make marker, and I can choose wherever I do want. Let's see. Okay, I don't want to just like waste time. I can like pentagram. Okay, I can also like change line style. He gave me an option, maybe this one, and now it's like this. But okay, let's return back to the marker and let's make it circle. I think it's gonna be better. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I just like running a little bit fast in the things that you guys already know, but let's kind of explain something you guys might be new in this, which is clipping. Okay, and on and off. So what does this mean? So what's a clipping? Like on might not be obvious here, but it's very important like function to know about. So clipping, it just control whether the object gets cut off at the axis limits. What this means, let's say I have a lot of data and the x-axis is very limited. So there is some data that I do have, but it's just getting cut, or like it's just hidden in this like I do have data that continues but just hidden because the x-axis ends at 50. So this is clipping. Clipping that might control this, whether like I want my data to be hidden or not. As we find here, there is on and off, okay? Right now, because the x-axis does like fit all my data, so I don't think it's gonna be any different. But overall, please, you guys, as I'm always saying, please take note as we go, because this is how you guys will learn, okay, by trying everything on MATLAB. So just on if the object goes outside the axis, which is like hidden, like data is hidden, okay, but clamping off just means the whole object is visible even if it's outside the axis. The whole object is visible. So I'm pretty sure, okay, all of us would be wanna use off to make all his data is visible, unless he wanna like just hide some data. Right now, like we can see like there is a space between like 0 and 1, and we can see this is the last like data that we do have, because if there is other data you're gonna make a space for us. So this pretty much clamping is very like important to have this like in your bank knowledge, MATLAB bank knowledge. And okay, let's also like create some like legend. If we create legend only, you're gonna give me like data 1, data 2, because there is no names for the legend. I can just like label one, maybe um, mm, 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 maybe cosine x. Okay, second label, like MATLAB just start understanding me, and I can here like make sine x, but let's multiply it by 0.5 right now. Okay, the blue one is cosine x, 0.5 sine x is the orange one, and I can say something like location. Now like MATLAB understands that I finished my labels and I wanna now like options, which is location, and then let's do the same thing as we did, best, location, best. Here we go. He gave me in a position that won't cover all my data. This is very powerful. Okay, and let's move forward. Before moving forward, I want to introduce one more thing. I want to like say I want to control my axis. So there is also very important rule in any plot which is called axis, and then like let's introduce this, which is axis style, and he can give me variety of style. Okay, here we go. So I can just choose different stuff, okay, of how like my axis want. Let's introduce today, just for today, padded. So what's a padded, or what does do actually? So just if you use this, MATLAB will create extra margin or space, so the entire data would fit. Let's copy this here and let's delete this. And this very powerful if you have long data that has to be represented. So right now, if we press run, you guys can see there is extra margin for some few data, or for the entire data to be like fit, or it could be seen. So this is just the padded one, but yeah, there is like normal is normal, of course. Tight, you guys can try, it's all like different stuff. Tight, it makes all your data is tight. If you like try something square, you're gonna make the entire axis a square. And axis, because he's talking about x and y axis, so that's why it's called axis. and then you can like customize as you want. So right now let's just start with padded. Okay,